Mark, who is this? And what do you mean crumbs? You haven't sent me a single kobo in 3 years. I built this house with my sweat and blood.
You might be wondering how we got here. I am Grace, and I am a tailor. I sold my father's land to send my husband abroad. What he did to me broke me. This is how it all started.
Grace, I can't keep living like this. Look at you. A brilliant tailor working 18 hours a day to feed a husband who can't even find a job as a clerk. I am a man, Grace.
We will survive. Lagos was not built in a day.
Lagos is not for me, Grace. Canada is the answer. I have a contact.
I am supposed to be your cover, your shade. But look at me, I am just a shadow. If I can get into a master's program in Toronto, our lives will change forever. In 2 years, you will be walking the streets of Ontario, wearing furs and breathing air that doesn't smell like burning tires.
That night, the seed was planted. But dreams in Nigeria require more than just hope. They require a brutal amount of capital. We needed 7 million naira for the first installment of tuition, proof of funds, and the visa process. To a woman living in a face-me-I-face-you apartment in Mushin, 7 million naira might as well have been 7 billion. But I had one thing. I had the land my father had left me in Ikorodu. It was my only inheritance, my just in case for the future. Against the advice of my mother and the warnings of my elder brother, I sold it. I sold my father's legacy and poured every kobo into Mark's dream. I worked until my fingers bled, sewing traditional outfits for the wealthy women in Ikoyi, skipping meals and saving every penny to pay for his flight and his initial upkeep abroad. The day I dropped Mark at Murtala Mohammed International Airport, the air was thick with the scent of aviation fuel and tears. He held me so tight, I could hear his heart beating against my chest.
Grace, I swear by the God we serve, I will never forget what you have done for me. You are not just my wife, you are my savior.
In 6 months, I will start your processing. We will be together again.
Just go and succeed, Mark. That is all the reward I need.
For the first 6 months, Mark was the perfect husband. We spoke every day on WhatsApp. He told me about the biting cold of Toronto, the difficulty of the courses, and how much he missed my jollof rice. I continued to send him money, small amounts scraped together from my tailoring business, because he claimed he hadn't found a part-time job yet.
The bills here are crazy, Grace. If you can just send another 50,000 naira this month, I'll be able to pay my phone bill and the heating. I love you, my queen.
And like a fool, I sent it. I lived on garri and groundnuts so that my husband could stay warm in Canada. But by the end of the first year, the calls began to thin out. I'm busy with exams became I'm working double shifts, which eventually became total silence. My messages would stay undelivered for days, the 2 blue ticks mocking my anxiety. When he did call, his voice sounded different. The soft Lagos lilt was being replaced by a forced, fake accent.
Grace, look, I can't talk right now. The data is expensive and I have a presentation. Stop choking me with these constant messages. I am working for our future.
Then, the ghosting became
The number you
absolute.
have dialed is not available.
Mark deactivated his Facebook. He changed his WhatsApp number. I called his mother in the village and she claimed she hadn't heard from him either, though her voice sounded suspiciously comfortable, not the voice of a mother worried about her missing son. I was devastated. But I am a Nigerian woman. We do not lie down and die. If my husband had abandoned me, I still had a life to live. I poured my grief into my work. My tailoring business, Graceful Stitches, began to thrive. I moved out of Mushin and rented a decent shop in Surulere. I saved. I invested. And 3 years after Mark left, I bought 2 plots of land in Mowe. I didn't just buy the land, I built on it. It wasn't a palace, but it was a solid, beautiful 3-bedroom bungalow with a perimeter fence and a sturdy gate. I moved in 6 months before the roof was even fully painted. It was my sanctuary, the physical manifestation of my resilience. I had survived the ghosting of the man I loved. Then came the Tuesday that changed everything. I was in my front yard watering the small garden I had started when a brand new black Toyota Prado SUV pulled up to my gate. My heart skipped a beat. This was Mowe. People here didn't usually drive cars that looked like they belonged in a convoy. The gate was open, and the car drove straight into the compound. The door opened, and a man stepped out. He was wearing a heavy designer tracksuit despite the blazing Lagos heat and oversized sunglasses. Behind him, a woman stepped out of the passenger side. She was light-skinned, her hair a cascade of blonde weave, wearing a dress so short it was almost scandalous. The man took off his sunglasses. It was Mark. He looked different, fuller in the face, his skin abroad fresh and glowing. But it was him. My heart soared for a microsecond before I saw the way he looked at me. It wasn't the look of a husband returning to his wife. It was the look of a landlord inspecting a dilapidated property.
Mark! Mark! You're back?
Grace, I see you've been busy. Not a bad little house you've put up here with the crumbs I left you.
Is this the one, darling? She looks exactly how you described, very local.
Mark, who is this? And what do you mean crumbs? You haven't sent me a single kobo in 3 years. I built this house with my sweat and blood.
Your sweat? Grace, let's be realistic. You are a tailor. How much can a tailor make? We both know this house was built with the money I was sending home through my mother. I just didn't tell you I was sending it to her to keep for me.
That's a lie. I have every bank statement. I have every receipt from the laborers.
It doesn't matter what you have, Grace. According to the law of the land, we are still married. And as the head of the family, what is yours is mine.
But more importantly, I have news. This is Chloe. She is my wife, my real wife. We got married in Toronto 6 months ago.
You have another wife?
I am a man who has moved up in the world, and I have come to take what is mine. Chloe and I are moving back to Nigeria to start a business. We need a place to stay while our mansion in Lekki is being finished. You have 48 hours to pack your things and leave this house.
You want to kick me out of my own house?
It's not your house, Grace. Mark says the land was bought while you were married. In Canada, we call this matrimonial property. But since you were just a placeholder wife, we're being generous. We won't sue you for the money you've obviously stolen from Mark's remittances.
48 hours, Grace. Don't make me bring the police. It would be embarrassing for a successful tailor like you to be dragged out of Mowe in handcuffs.
They got back into the Prado and drove out, leaving a cloud of dust that settled on my unfinished porch. I didn't cry. I went inside, sat on my floor, and breathed. Mark thought he was the only one who had learned how to play games. He thought that because he had been to abroad, he had become a master of the universe. He had forgotten who I was. I was Grace, the woman who had survived Mushin. I was the woman who had built a business from a single manual sewing machine. I didn't call a lawyer first. I called a private investigator I had met through one of my wealthy clients in Ikui. I need everything on a man named Mark Cole and a woman named Chloe, I told him. And I need it by tomorrow morning. The next 24 hours were a whirlwind. The investigator, a retired DSP named Benson, was efficient. By the time the sun rose on the day of the eviction, I was sitting in my living room with a folder that contained enough explosives to blow Mark's world into atoms. At exactly 10 a.m., the Prado returned. This time, Mark was accompanied by 2 men in dark suits, hired security to intimidate me. Mark walked into my living room as if he owned the air I was breathing.
I see you haven't packed, Grace. I told you I didn't want a scene.
Sit down, Mark. You too, Chloe. Or should I call you Omolara? What did you just say? Omolara Shoniba, you grew up in Shomolu. Never been further than Cotonou. You met Mark at a bar in Victoria Island 6 months ago when he sneaked into Nigeria for a visit that I didn't know about. You're not Canadian, dear. You're a local girl with a bad weave and an even worse accent.
Grace, what is this nonsense?
Oh, I'm just getting started, Mark. Let's talk about your master's degree in Toronto. According to the university records, you were expelled in your 2nd semester for non-payment of fees and academic failure. You haven't been a student for over 2 years. You've been working as a dishwasher and a night shift security guard in a suburb of Ontario.
You hacked my life?
I didn't have to hack anything. You were never very good at covering your tracks. And about your marriage to Chloe Omolara? You can't be married to her, Mark, because you are still legally married to me in Nigeria, and double marriage is a crime that carries a prison sentence. But that's not the best part. This is the deed to this land. I didn't buy it in my name, Mark. I am a businesswoman. I bought this land and built this house under the name of my registered company, Graceful Stitches Limited. In the eyes of the law, this house is a corporate asset. It is not matrimonial property. You have no claim to it, just like you have no claim to the remittances you never sent.
You think you're smart? I am the man. I will tell the court that you used my money to start that company.
With what proof? I have the paper trail of the sale of my father's land. I have the receipts of every kobo I sent you in Canada while you were studying. If anything, Mark, you owe me. I have calculated the total amount I spent on your visa, your tuition, and your upkeep. It comes to about 9 million naira. With interest, let's call it 15.
Here is the deal, Mark. You will sign this document. It is a post-nuptial agreement where you forfeit any claim to any of my assets, now or in the future. You will also sign these divorce papers on the grounds of desertion and emotional cruelty. In return, I won't call the police to arrest you for marrying double.
And I won't contact the Canadian immigration authorities to let them know that a certain dishwasher is currently in Nigeria and shouldn't be allowed back in on a student visa he no longer holds. Mark, you said she was a nobody. You said we would have this house. You lied to me. You lied to both of us.
Shut up, Lara! You've changed, Grace. You've become cold.
I didn't become cold, Mark. I became the woman you needed me to be so you could go to Canada. I just decided to keep that strength for myself instead of giving it to a ghost.
Mark signed the papers. His hand was shaking so much, the signature looked like a jagged scar. When he was done, I took the documents and tucked them into my folder.
Now, get out of my house and take your Canadian queen with you. If I see that Prado near my gate again, I will release the documents to the EFCC to investigate the source of the funds you used to buy it. I suspect Omolara's sugar daddies might not want their names in a police report.
Omolara practically ran to the car. Mark followed her, his head bowed. As he reached the door, he turned back.
Grace, where am I supposed to go? My mother's house is full. I have nothing left.
You have the designer tracksuit, Mark. Maybe you can sell it I hear the second-hand market in Mushin is very active.
I slammed the door and locked it.
I walked to my kitchen and poured myself a glass of cold water.
Through the window, I watched the Prado reverse out of my compound, hitting the gatepost on the way out. I didn't feel a surge of joy. I felt a profound sense of peace. The Japa ghost had returned, thinking he could haunt the house I had built with the bricks of my own heartbreak. But he had forgotten one thing about Nigerian women. We are the ones who hold the ground when everything else shifts.